Okay, not all covers are created equal, but I see on this one. I'm gonna lower this down here. Okay. First off, there's a washable filter in here, and I lift up on that, and this pulls out. Okay, that's a washable filter. And some covers kind of click from here and pull out. I don't know what kind you're going to get. Okay, and this has just come off. It's just a little sticky. I'm going to press that back on there. I'm going to look at my flap here. This has a little lever here. Okay, so I'm going to look at that. I'm going to make sure that's all working properly. And sometimes during shipping, they might come off of here. You got to look at that, make sure this is all done right. And they could run hard. You just want to kind of turn that and make sure everything's fine. Okay. And I'm going to kind of leave them sideways just for the time being. And I already know that I got my notch. Okay. And I'm going to look at this one. And this one, I've got a screw. I've only got 2 screws on this. See, it's going to click in at the top. There's 2 little nibs there. That fits in at the top. And then I've got 2 screws, one there and one there. I got nothing at the bottom. The only thing that's going to hold the bottom is that friction. And it's got a little gizmo here on both sides. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so now that I know how that's set up, I've got to find a couple screws that were in the bag. And these are like self-tapper screws, because once you put it in the hole, it's going to grab into the hole, and if the hole's too tight, it's just going to cut out a new, it's just going to kind of get in there and dig in there. See how that's kind of cut? And they have those, and that's how this one goes together. Okay, so now I know all about that, so I have a good understanding of what's happening over here. And let's get you up there. I take you up there, okay, and I believe we're going to use that hole. See, they have another one there. If we're not using that, sometimes you have to use this hole down here. Here's another one right there that I don't think we're using. Now here's the other one we're using, so I just need to make sure that this ground wire is not pooched straight over that hole, okay, like that. And if it doesn't fit exactly, I may have to tweak this with a pair of pliers and push it over to the right, push it over to the left. Same thing with this one here. I may have to push it over to the left or the right. So as I put this cover plate on this piece for the first time, I'm not going to click it all the way on. Okay, I'm going to hold it up there gently. Okay, let's do it, Joe. Let's stop explaining ourselves here. I just wanted you to get the idea of what's happening here, okay? Looking over here, my black mark is still right there. I'm going to gently put that over, and I'm going to line it up at the top where it goes. Okay, fill it with your hand, and it's going to go right there. Now I can look down in there. That mark, that screw looks like it's right in. It's going to line up. This screw looks like it's going to line up. And sometimes you can see that, and if you know, okay, the screws, I can see the screw, but it's just slightly off to the left or just slightly off to the right. Then you know as you put the screw in there, you might want to push it over to the left or push it over to the right. These look pretty close, okay? So I can look at that, and now because my cord is off to the right, I'm going to snap the left-hand side on first. I just wanted to make sure you could see that, and you can. Okay. I'm going to just push this over, and I may have to kind of pull it just slightly over with my hand, like that. Push down on it, and it's snapped in. See, that's snapped. My hole looks right. Now this cord, I'm going to pull it out just barely from where it was, and I've just got that locked into place. I've got my cord exactly where I wanted it, the length. Now if I need to shorten the cord, a ½ inch or so, I can push this in a little bit, but the last thing I want is to push it in that way. As I'm pushing, it's up in there. Or if I need to pull out just a little bit, maybe I can. Okay, see, I see the black mark. I'm going to get that back up in there. Now I can kind of hold this where I want. Before I do that, I've got to take my little wire off here. Okay. And see, this tag, this is your warning tag, and I keep that on. Don't take that off, okay? But I try to wrap it. And I'll show you that in a minute, okay? First off, I've already made the determination that this cord is going to face down. You have to look at your plug, because sometimes maybe this cord is going to face up, and then see, I would have had too much cord here or something. Okay, so I've already looked at that, and I want it to go into the wall here a little bit, and I'm going to twist that and look at that and see if I like that, and I can keep messing with this cord if I want. Now, it's not going to be perfect, mind you, but it's going to be close. Okay, like that. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take one of my white wires. See, this one is probably just a hair too small. You see, and this one's probably a little too long. I'm just going to take my cutter. I'm going to take my cutter and cut some of that off. Okay, I'm just going to cut a little bit of that last bit off. Okay, that's about as long a piece as I want. Okay, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to wrap. I think you can see that. Let's zoom you in. Okay. I'm just going to take this, so I'm going to wrap it like that. And now I can take my white cord, my tie, and just tie that on there. Okay. Kind of like that. And now with the excess, I just bend them down on the back side like that, and I leave it. There. That's all you got to do. It just makes it look a little nicer. I used to try to bend that, just leave the flat, but then lots of times it would come out. Okay, we're almost ready to turn this on. All right. See? See how nicely that looks up there? Doesn't that look better than having the whole cord hanging down, flopping all over the place? Okay, before I turn it on, obviously, I've got to get my battery on the handheld remote. And so I'm going to look at that. And remember I said the battery has a little piece of tape on it. Does it look like you can see any tape on there? Yeah, there's a little bit, and it goes up and over. So I just take my little screwdriver, see, and snap that off, and then that comes out. If you don't do that, it's not going to come out. And obviously, you know how to put batteries in. You just look at it, the top of that nib. You always look in here, and you can see it. See right there where the battery shows, and it's at the top of the nib is up. So I'm just going to push it in there, flip this around, and I'm good to go. That's funny. Hey, if you caught me, hey Joe, you forgot to put the screws in. You're right. And I was doing the other one in the other room, and I happened to see that. Like, hey, did I do this? Did I do this or not? And I didn't. That's going to help hold the trim in place. I've seen lots of covers. You know, the cover snaps on the top and the sides. So in a sense, do you really need these screws? Well, I always put them in just to be on the safe side. And it's just the right thing to do. It keeps this from moving around, because if somebody bumps it, let's say right here something, for some reason it comes off here, it could be loose, this thing could be chattering, and maybe this screw right here is helping hold this in place if it gets tagged with something. Okay? And like I say, not all screws are going to be right there, but that's kind of slick. It's right there. And this trim covers it up. Wow, almost forgot that. Thanks for pointing that out to me.